Wait, what?
I think I get it.
Fuck you, you don't get it.
Hey there guys, this is Sam
And Justin.
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to attempt to discuss episode 8 of The Return to Twin Peaks. And
Yes.
what an episode it was.
Oh yeah, it was something, alright.
I loved it.
Oh,
but
I loved it too.
It's something that I can definitely see the casual viewer not loving so
Yeah, if
much.
there's any casual viewer that's still watching Twin Peaks at this point, like expecting like something like the original show.
Which at this point, I think most of them have given up.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're still here, this is where you give up.
Yeah.
Since this episode opens with the scene that, advances the plot.
Yes, a little bit.
And that's it.
And that's the only plot progression that you really get. Everything else is a lot more abstract.
Yes, very. Because the episode begins with Doppel Cooper
Yes.
driving along with his partner.
Yeah, where we left off, they just got out of prison using
Yeah.
their little dirt or whatever they had on the warden. So they're driving off doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And they drive off the road. One of them has to take a leak.
Mm-hmm.
And or the other guy should be specific, not Doppel Cooper.
Not Doppel Cooper.
I forget Ray.
Yeah, something like that.
He's got to take a leak. And so Doppel Cooper gets out of the car and points a gun at him, and you can kind of tell throughout the car ride between them that there's
tension.
mistrust and tension. And
Yeah, because basically the guy was going to sell him out, basically. So he pulls a gun on him, but it turns out that the other guy already has a gun ready.
Yeah.
They turn, confront each other. Instead of just like talking a bit more, Doppler's like, screw it, just shoot him. And click, click, click. There's no bullets.
No bullets. Or the bullet, he saw there were bullets in it, but I guess they were just
Blanks, basically.
But the other guy has a working gun and shoots Cooper twice. Or Doppel Cooper, whatever.
We get it.
And so he goes to the ground. And in Twin Peaks style, that's not all that happens.
This is where the episode just goes off the rails, and we're only like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, so the guy is looking at the body, and all of a sudden, these ghost hobos come in. Like we saw one of them.
Yeah, we saw one of them in the first episode in the jail cell. And
And
then we saw him again in the last episode. That was like the one thing that we forgot to mention in the last video. We pretty much got everything except for that one thing where you see the military officer in the morgue, and one of those that you think is the same one from the jail cell is just walking by in the background for some strange reason.
Yeah, so they're growing more and more important.
Yes.
And this episode especially, they're all over the place.
Yeah. And they just start, like, for some reason, spreading blood, like, all over Doppel Cooper.
It's like a ritual almost.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it is like they're kind of bringing him back to life. And
yeah, because you do see Bob there at one point,
Yes.
sit next to his body. And the one guy, he's just freaking out. He has the exact reaction we would. He just sits down and it's just like...
He's just like, what the hell's going on? And so he drives off, and he gets on the phone talking to somebody, one of his other criminal buddies or whatever.
Yeah.
And he tells them...
He's just like, I think he's dead.
I think he's dead, not 100% sure. I saw some weird shit. So maybe he's not dead.
Anyway, and he drives off.
Yes.
Yeah.
We cut to the Bang Bang Bar, and the Nine Inch Nails are playing. And so they play a song.
Yeah.
Which I mean, they play through the whole song, and I thought it was a cool... It was a good sort of way to set up the tone of the episode. I liked it.
Yeah, because that stuff that Doppel Cooper is like what you'd expect from a typical episode of the show.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you just get like a full Nine Inch Nails song, and you're like, this is probably going to be something bizarre. This episode's not going to be a typical episode.
And it's going to be a bit more dark. Because it's like other episodes, you kind of end off with the more synthy whatever songs, and those are more a little relaxed. And then you have Nine Inch Nails. This is more heavy stuff. This is kind of getting into darker territory, and it really sets things up for what you're going to see next.
Yeah, basically.
And that's when we cut to 1945.
Yes, cuts to New Mexico, 1945. And the atomic bomb goes off.
Yes.
Basically, it's a bomb test.
Yeah, and the camera just zooms into the mushroom cloud, and that's when it just becomes complete chaos.
You just get like a full 2 minutes of just like fire and everything just like flying at the camera.
It felt like more than 2 minutes.
Probably,
honestly. but it's...
Everything in this episode goes on for really long.
Yes, and it's it's just all complete chaos and dark evil. It's honestly terrifying.
It is, yeah.
And that's another thing I would say about this episode is that this is like a nightmare.
This episode, yeah, it is.
It feels like a nightmare.
Yeah. And then in the middle of that mushroom cloud, you see this weird figure that basically looks like an adult version of the Eraserhead baby.
That's what we both said. I'm like, oh, the Eraserhead baby is all grown up.
Yeah.
And it's a really creepy image, but it basically, it's floating there in the nether or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it vomits this fluid that has these chunks in it. And in one of the chunks is an image of Bob.
Yeah.
And I guess it's sort of the conception of that evil.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. It's
I
maybe.
think it's
like this is where it all begins.
Yeah. So out of the evil of something like this atom bomb comes Bob and all these other things. I think maybe
something like that. Maybe.
We could be completely wrong, but that's what I got out of it.
Yeah. And then we cut to a gas station.
Yes.
Where it just starts off, you see a bunch of fog just weirdly, going back and forth.
Yeah, time is warping. It's really bizarre, and
then a bunch of the hobo ghosts show up.
They're these just dark figures, and they're all running around, and it's just
those guys are just creepy.
Yeah, it's seriously
they're flat out creepy. Especially just all of them in that one spot, just like going back and forth.
It's a really terrifying image.
Yeah,
it's just
and some of them are inside the windows, so you see like their silhouettes against the windows. Like that was scary as hell. Like it was great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
After all this chaos and stuff, it cuts to Doppel Cooper's body, and boom, he wakes up. And that's the end of that.
Yeah.
So now we know he's awake.
Yeah. Or
alive. Or whatever. And
something. He's not dead.
The man's not dead.
Yes.
So that's that. And then pretty much the rest of the episode does not take place in current day or in our world or in any form of logic.
No. Because then we cut to that purple place that Cooper was at in the third episode, at the beginning of the third episode.
It's in the same area, in this purple ocean place, whatever. Something dark, some evil place.
Yeah, and we
or maybe, I don't know.
We start off on the water, and we see this giant mountain kind of just rock, and then we go up and reveal that there's actually a building in there. Yeah. And then we cut to inside the building, and we see this just one woman just sitting there listening to music on a record player. It's still in like the 40s.
So she's sitting there enjoying her music, and there's this big, like bell-shaped machine with little like buzzer things on top, and that starts going off. It's just a consistent gzz, 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 and it keeps doing that. And out from behind this thing comes the giant.
Yes. And so he turns the knob, turning off that sound, and leaves the room. Goes up the stairs to this one kind of theater type room where there's a projector screen up there.
Yep.
And he turns on the projector and we see the mushroom cloud from earlier in the episode. We also see the Eraserhead baby vomiting up Bob's face.
And it shows the gas station a little bit.
Yeah. But it freeze frames on the Bob's face, on the image of Bob's face.
So that's important.
For some reason, yeah. And then the giant starts floating.
The giant then floats and he's suspended midair. And the girl walks into the room, the girl that was in the other room, walks into the room to witness him, like, releasing this spirit from his face. It's like the yellow spirit thing, kind of like when you saw the little boy get hit by the car.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So a bit more going on to it. It's not just like a really quick, like, mist. It's a bit more going on. And then this orb flies out of it.
Yeah, so he's creating this good, I guess it's a golden orb that flies down to the girl. She picks it up and she looks at it and she sees an image of Laura Palmer's face.
Yeah.
And she kisses it and then sends it into a weird marble set looking thing.
On the projector you see a shot of Earth.
Yes, it's now showing an image of Earth.
Yes.
And so it pushes the orb into the image of the projector.
Yes.
And the orb floats to Earth. And I guess that's like a representation of they're creating like a good to combat the evil.
Yeah.
Or something.
Although Laura Palmer isn't really the best, the good character.
She's kind of representative of like good that gets corrupted.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know.
Yes, maybe she was meant to be the good that combats Bob. like gets corrupted, and of course,
obviously she doesn't win.
No.
But
no. We need Cooper to come in and save the day.
But this is before that.
Yeah, this is before that. This is still 1945.
Yeah.
So then after that scene, we flash forward to 1956.
Yeah.
And we see this egg lying on the ground that hatches, and this weird bug crawls out that has wings, but it still has these legs that's kind of pushing it along the ground.
It's like this big, fat, disgusting bug.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of crawling through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it cuts to, we see some of the hobo things. And,
they start appearing out of nowhere. Just kind of like coming from the sky, basically.
They're wandering about.
Yes.
And it kind of cuts between that and a few other things going on. There's a young girl, a teenage girl, and teenage boy. They were on a date and blah, blah, blah. Fun teen love, whatever.
Yeah.
And so the boy's walking the girl home. And
it's like a tender little moment where he kisses her. Yes, he asks if he can kiss her.
Yeah,
it's
nice. Nice, cute little moment.
Yeah.
You
see the girl
amidst all this madness and terror.
Yeah. The girl's nervous, and then as they walk away, she kind of smiles, like, "Oh."
Oh, it's teen love.
Yeah.
It's cute. Everyone's dying, but there's teen love.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then it kind of cuts to a husband and wife. They're driving in the desert, and they're passing by this car that's pulled over, and the hobo monster things come up to their car, and one of them's like, "Got a light?"
Yeah.
And they're just like, screw this, and they drive out of there, which is the right thing to do, because these monsters or whatever they are they're just out to screw things up, I guess.
Basically, because you end up seeing one of them, he goes into the one who asks for a light.
Yes.
He goes into this radio station and walks up to the secretary, asks if she has a light. She freaks out.
Yeah, when she does not respond with what he wants, I guess, he grabs her head and just crushes it.
Yeah, at first I thought he was going to rip the head off.
Yeah, but no, he just like squeezes and blood pours down her face.
Yeah.
And it's
insane.
Crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But
and then he goes to the radio DJ who's in there.
Yep.
He's playing this song. He's playing this music, and you see the people are listening to it. There's a mechanic working on a car. There's a waitress who's closing up a restaurant. And probably the restaurant that the kids came out of.
Most likely.
And then there's the girl who's sitting in her room, smiling from what happened earlier.
Listening to music.
Yeah.
And so he does the same sort of thing to the secretary. He grabs the guy by his head and just starts squeezing. And the guy's like writhing in misery.
Yeah, he does. It's not as quick as the secretary.
No.
He doesn't just go squish, you're dead.
He
just holds on to it.
In so much pain.
Yeah.
And the guy starts reciting this like poem.
Yeah, he turns off the music.
Yeah, turns off the music, starts reciting this poem into the radio that's like, I am the water, I am the well.
Yeah.
Something or other. I can't remember the exact words, but it's this poem, and everyone who starts listening to it falls asleep. They pass out. So the woman in the diner, she passes out. The mechanic passes out, and the girl tries to sort of reach to turn it off, but passes out before she can.
And then the guy finishes squeezing the guy's head.
Yes.
And walks out of the radio station.
Yes.
And then we cut back to the bug that was crawling along the floor.
Adorably terrifying little creature.
Yes.
And the girl's now asleep, so the bug climbs into her window, onto her bed, and does pretty much what you would think it does, and climbs into her mouth.
Yeah.
But her mouth like opens for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she's obviously under control of whatever spell or something that this hobo dude put her under. I don't know what it is, what you would call it, but now there's a bug inside of this innocent kid.
And that's how it ends.
That's the end of the episode.
What the fuck?
It was really just an uncomfortable episode.
Oh yeah,
It definitely puts you in a weird sort of mood.
Yeah, it's very un-Twin Peaks and more like Eraserhead type of David
This
Lynch.
might be like the most Lynch episode that we've seen so far.
And that's saying something, because there's been a lot of crazy Lynchian stuff in the past 7 episodes.
But
this one is like, again, it's a full-on like almost Eraserhead type thing because of the black and white and like the emphasis on like horror and just like screwed up stuff.
And yeah, I don't think we mentioned that most of the episode is black and white.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that kind of just adds to that weird atmosphere of it. I can't even explain how terrifying the images of when you were in that chaos inside the mushroom cloud or wherever it was.
Even the hobo, the ghost hobos or whatever they are, those guys are creepy as hell.
There's some really scary imagery in this episode.
Oh yeah, yeah, and just I don't know. We don't know exactly what it all means, what it all is.
It's.
How is it going to tie into the rest of the show since it's all from like the 40s and the 50s? Like I don't know.
It's all stuff that we'll kind of find out, I guess, maybe.
Hopefully some of it gets explained more as the show progresses.
But even if it's not explained, I don't mind having it kind of up to your own interpretation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Lynch movies are.
Yeah. It's exactly like Eraserhead. That movie makes no sense.
But if you kind of add your own interpretations to it, you can sort of put the pieces together.
Yeah. And that's basically what this episode is. And it was amazing. It was glorious.
It was a really, really good episode.
It's an episode that will probably piss off some people.
But not me.
No, me neither.
Basically, I think this is a good episode to leave it off where there's not going to be an episode next week. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. It's certain other episodes, I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to wait 2 weeks. But this, I'm like,
yeah, because every other episode ends with kind of like, not a cliffhanger, but a little like hint like, oh, what's that? So we'll explore that in the next episode. This doesn't end like that, so it works.
Yeah, and it's also just, there's so much that I'm just like, yeah, a break isn't a bad idea.
No, yeah. I mean, I kind of initially going in, like, realizing that this wasn't going to be, like, you know, moving the plot forward, I was a little bit kind of like, oh, man, because I did kind of want to see the plot move forward. But then once it kicks into gear, it's just like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's one of those things where once it gets going, you can't look away.
Exactly. Normally we comment and make jokes sometimes during the episodes. There are so many lulls of us just, like, sitting there just staring at the screen, just like,
I don't think I said anything throughout the whole, or maybe I said something, but very little throughout the whole sequence of the chaos after the atom bomb. It was
and the whole
really
the gas station scene. Well, I know we were just staring at the screen the whole time.
It's just so weird, so interesting, and you just you're kind of trying to tie together what does it all mean in your own head, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, it was great.
So
great episode.
Really solid episode. Very interested to see what happens next, where they go, what's going to happen, kind of tying together this girl and the things that happened in 1956 to things.
Yeah. It's just expanded it even more to make it even more complicated and crazy.
But it still got me on board.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, until 2 weeks from now, until the next episode, we will see you guys later.